Welcome to Neural Nexus Podcast, where we explore the hottest topics shaping the world. Let's dive in.
It's like 2 in the afternoon, and all you can think about is taking a quick nap. We've all been there, right? You sent us a ton of fascinating research on sleep, so today we are going to try to unpack all of it. Get ready for some pretty surprising insights into how much sleep we actually need, whether or not napping is good for you, and what the latest sleep science reveals. We'll be going over some recent cutting-edge studies, some expert opinions, and even taking a quick look at how different cultures think about and approach sleep.
Yeah, it's really interesting how fast sleep science is moving these days. It seems like every single day there's all these new discoveries that totally change our understanding of how sleep affects literally every aspect of our well-being.
You're so right. One of the biggest updates actually came out this year, right? The new sleep assessment guidelines from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine.
Yeah. This is actually their third edition of these guidelines. It really shows how much progress has been made in how we look at and evaluate sleep. Like, for example, they've incorporated updates to how sleep stages are classified. They're also using actigraphy now for home-based assessments.
So that's why they called it sleep assessment gets an upgrade in this article, right?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. But what does that mean for someone like me who's getting a sleep study?
Well, I'd say one of the biggest changes is how much they emphasize polysomnography technology. Basically, that's like the gold standard when it comes to sleep studies. They use all these sensors to track your brain waves, your breathing, and all these other physiological signals that your body is giving off when you're asleep.
So basically, it's gotten even more high-tech and precise.
Exactly. That means doctors can diagnose and treat sleep disorders much more effectively. And it also means researchers can get even more insights from these sleep studies, leading to a much deeper understanding of sleep and how it affects our overall health.
Well, that's really good news for everyone, right? Speaking of sleep, let's talk about taking a quick nap, okay? You sent me a few articles that have pretty different conclusions, so tell me, are naps good or bad?
Well, the research on napping can be kind of contradictory. On the one hand, you have studies like this one that was published in the journal Sleep. It suggests that short naps, those like 20 to 30-minute power naps, can actually be good for your brain, your cognitive function.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more about that. Like, how does taking a quick nap benefit my brain?
Well, it looks like they can be good for memory consolidation, alertness, even creativity. It seems like a quick nap might actually help to clear out the short-term memory, like the buffer in your brain. That makes room for new information and enhances our ability to both process and retain it.
So you're saying that a quick snooze can make me sharper. I like where this is going.
Potentially, yes. However, there are other studies, like this one from the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine. They actually caution against too much daytime sleep. It seems like the number of naps you take, how long they are, and how much sleep you need each night all come into play.
Okay, no more marathon snooze sessions on the couch for me. Got it. So it sounds like the key here is moderation, right? And being in tune with what your body is telling you.
Precisely. A short nap can be a really useful tool for some people, but it's definitely not a substitute for a good night's sleep. And for other people, napping might actually mess up their sleep patterns and make it harder to fall asleep at night.
That makes sense. You also sent over some research on the emotional side of things, apart from the obvious effects of sleep on our physical health. I was super curious about how lack of sleep affects us emotionally.
It's kind of amazing how much even a small amount of sleep loss can have a real impact on your mood and your ability to regulate your emotions. I mean, there are studies that show that just 1 hour of missed sleep can make you way more irritable, anxious, and just like reactive to any kind of stress.
Really, just 1 hour. I mean, I definitely know that I get grumpier when I haven't slept well,
Yeah.
but I had no idea that it could be that noticeable.
Oh, yeah. It's not just about feeling grumpy, though. The research actually delves into all the neurological processes involved. What we found is that sleep deprivation really messes with the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain that's in charge of regulating our emotions and helping us make decisions. So if you're sleep deprived, it's like your brain is working with like impaired emotional control.
Oh, wow. So it's not just the feeling, it's literally changing how my brain works.
Yeah.
And I remember reading in one of these articles that a huge percentage of people are actually sleep deprived, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's true. Statistics are pretty consistent, showing over 30% of adults, and get this, up to 90% of teenagers are not getting enough sleep. That's like a crazy number of people walking around with basically like impaired cognitive and emotional function.
90% of teenagers. That's seriously alarming. It seems like we really need to be paying a lot more attention to sleep, both for ourselves and for our kids, right?
I totally agree. Understanding all the science behind sleep can really help us make those positive changes and actually prioritize this super essential aspect of our overall health.
And speaking of like cutting edge science, I was really intrigued by that article about contactless polysomnography. What exactly is that?
Oh, yeah, that's one of the newest advancements in sleep technology. It uses radio waves to actually analyze your sleep pattern. So you don't need all those wires and sensors they used to use in sleep studies.
Wait a minute, no wires. How does that even work?
It sounds kind of futuristic, I know, but it all comes down to the fact that radio waves bounce off your body differently depending on your movements and breathing patterns. So, by analyzing these reflections, researchers can figure out what sleep stage you're in and identify any potential sleep disorders you might have.
That sounds straight out of a science fiction movie. But seriously, what's the impact of this technology in the real world?
It really has the potential to revolutionize sleep studies. Think about it. No more uncomfortable wires or bulky equipment. This could make sleep studies way more comfortable and accessible, especially for people who find the traditional methods way too cumbersome.
That's really incredible. What's really sticking with me here is just how important sleep is. It's not just about feeling tired or not, it's about our physical and mental health, how we feel emotionally, and even our ability to think straight.
You're totally right. Sleep is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And the more we learn about it, the more we understand how profoundly it impacts every single part of our lives.
And that brings us to a really big question. What happens when we just don't get enough sleep?
Yeah.
What are the consequences in the long term of being sleep deprived? That's what we'll dive into next.
Welcome back to our deep dive on all things sleep.
Okay, so we've talked about how sleep is like super important for our physical and mental well-being, but I'm curious, like what happens when we just don't get enough? What are the long-term consequences of not getting enough sleep, of being sleep deprived?
Well, the research it's pretty clear on that. Chronic sleep deprivation can actually increase your risk for a whole bunch of different health issues. We're talking about heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and even some types of cancer.
Whoa, okay. Those are some serious consequences. I mean, I knew sleep was important, but I didn't realize the stakes were that high.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop at physical health either. Not getting enough sleep also really affects how our brains work. Studies have found that it can impair memory, attention, and even decision making and creativity.
So it's not just feeling tired and like sluggish, it's literally affecting how well we can think and function.
Exactly. And the scariest thing is, a lot of people don't even realize they're sleep deprived. They might think, oh, I'm just stressed or I'm overworked. But the truth is, lack of sleep is a major contributing factor.
You're totally right. It's easy to overlook sleep as the reason we're feeling off. So what can we do about it? How do we make sleep more of a priority when we're so busy?
That's a great question. And honestly, it's something we'll talk more about a little bit later in this deep dive. But before we jump into those practical tips, I kind of want to change gears a bit and talk about how different cultures view sleep.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned some pretty interesting research on how different cultures see and experience sleep.
Yeah, it's fascinating how much our cultural norms and beliefs can really influence our relationship with sleep. For instance, in Western cultures, taking naps, especially if you're an adult, is often seen as lazy or unproductive.
Yeah, that's definitely true here in the US. It's like you're just supposed to power through the day no matter how tired you get.
Exactly. But in other places around the world, like in a lot of Mediterranean and Latin American cultures, napping is totally normal. It's just a part of daily life. It's seen as a natural and healthy way to recharge and improve alertness.
Oh, I've heard so much about the Spanish siesta. Like it's this blissful time in the middle of the day where everyone takes a nap.
Exactly. And it's not just in Spain, it's also common in countries like Italy and Greece and a lot of Latin America. It's
Yeah.
often just built right into the workday, with shops and businesses closing for a few hours in the afternoon.
Wow, can you imagine that? A world where napping is not only accepted, but actually encouraged. It
Right.
makes you wonder if those cultures experience less of the negative effects of not getting enough sleep.
That's a really good question. While we need more research to know for sure, there are some studies that suggest that cultures with regular napping practices may have a more balanced approach to sleep in general.
So it's not just about getting enough sleep overall. It's also about how we think about and structure sleep within our daily routines.
Precisely. Our culture plays a huge role in shaping our sleep habits, influencing everything from when we go to bed and wake up to how much we value sleep as a society.
It really makes you think, maybe we could learn something from these other cultures. Like,
Yeah.
maybe taking short naps throughout the day could be good for our health and productivity.
It's certainly something worth considering. And speaking of different cultural perspectives on sleep, you sent me some research on co-sleeping, which is a pretty fascinating topic.
Oh, yes. Tell me more about that. What exactly is co-sleeping and how common is it?
Well, co-sleeping is when parents and kids share a bed or sleeping space. It's a pretty common practice in a lot of cultures, particularly in Asia, Africa, and Latin America.
I heard a lot of different opinions on co-sleeping. Some people believe it helps kids feel more secure and promotes bonding, but others are worried about safety.
It's definitely a complicated issue with a lot of cultural and social, even evolutionary aspects. In many cultures, co-sleeping is seen as a natural part of breastfeeding and a way to strengthen the bond between parent and child.
Yeah, that makes sense. But what about those safety concerns people have?
It's true, there are some potential risks associated with co-sleeping, like accidental suffocation. However, a lot of these risks can be reduced by following safe sleep guidelines, such as using a firm mattress, not having loose bedding, and making sure the baby has enough space.
So it's really about being informed and making choices that work best for your family and your circumstances.
Exactly. There's no right or wrong way to approach co-sleeping, just like there's no one right way to sleep across different cultures.
That's a really good point. It's not about judging or saying one way is better than another. It's about understanding and respecting different approaches to sleep.
I completely agree. And by learning from other cultures, we might even find ways to improve our own sleep habits. Maybe even create a society that values sleep more.
Okay, so we've delved into the science behind sleep, the research on what happens when we don't get enough sleep, and how different cultures approach sleep. But now I want to know, what can we do to improve our own sleep? What are some practical tips and strategies we can use in our everyday lives?
That's a great question. Let's shift gears and talk about some actionable steps you can take to make sleep a priority and improve your overall well-being.
Okay, so we've covered the science, we've looked at sleep across different cultures, and now I'm ready for the practical stuff. How can we actually get better sleep?
Yeah, let's get into some tips and strategies that you can use starting like today. It all starts with understanding this thing called sleep hygiene. Basically, it's all the habits and practices that can help you sleep well.
Okay, sleep hygiene. Where do we even start?
Well, one of the most basic things is to have a consistent sleep schedule. That means going to bed and waking up around the same time every day, even on weekends.
So no more sleeping in until noon on Saturdays. That might be a tough one, but I'm willing to give it a try. But why is having a consistent schedule so important?
It's all about your body's natural sleep-wake cycle, your circadian rhythm. When that's in sync, it's easier to both fall asleep and wake up feeling refreshed.
So it's like setting an internal alarm clock.
Yeah.
Cool. What else can we do to make sure our bedrooms are good for sleep?
Think of your bedroom as like a sanctuary for sleep. Make sure it's dark, quiet, and cool.
Dark, quiet, and cool. Got it. So I guess blackout curtains are a must-have, right?
Yeah, they can really make a difference. Any light can actually suppress your melatonin production, which is the hormone that controls your sleep-wake cycle.
Oh, wow. So even a little bit of light can mess with our sleep. I'm definitely getting some blackout curtains. What about noise? I'm a super light sleeper, so even the smallest sound wakes me up.
You could try using earplugs or a white noise machine to block out any distracting noises. And when it comes to temperature, most experts recommend keeping your bedroom at around 65 degrees Fahrenheit.
Perfect. I always sleep better in a cold room. Any other tips for making my bedroom a sleep sanctuary?
Absolutely. Take a look around your bedroom. What do you see? Is it cluttered? Do you have work stuff in there? Those visual cues can actually tell your brain it's time to be active, not to relax and sleep.
Interesting. So decluttering my bedroom could help me sleep better.
It was worth a shot. You want your bedroom to feel calm and relaxing? Think soft lighting, maybe some calming colors, even some aromatherapy with lavender or chamomile.
Okay, I love these ideas. Time for a bedroom makeover. But what about the things we do before bed? Do our pre-sleep habits affect how well we sleep?
You're talking about sleep hygiene rituals, and they are super important.
Okay, tell me everything. What should I be doing before bed to set myself up for sleep success?
First things first, no caffeine or alcohol right before bed. They can mess with your sleep cycles and keep you from getting that deep, restorative sleep.
So no late night coffee or that glass of wine, I can handle that.
Mm-hmm.
How about food? Does what I eat before bed matter?
Definitely. It's best to avoid big meals close to bedtime. They can make it harder to fall asleep because your body is busy digesting.
Right. I am definitely guilty of late night snacking. Anything else I should cut out?
This might be a hard one, but try to limit your screen time at least an hour before bed. The blue light that comes from screens can actually stop your body from producing melatonin, which makes it harder to fall asleep.
Oh, that explains why I always feel so wired after scrolling on my phone before bed. Maybe I'll switch to reading a book instead.
That's a great idea. Reading, listening to calming music, taking a relaxing bath, all much better options than staring at a screen.
How about exercise? I like to work out in the evening sometimes. Is that a bad idea?
Regular exercise is awesome. It's great for your health, and it can actually make your sleep better. But don't do intense workouts right before bed. You need time to wind down.
So morning workouts are the way to go.
Got it. Okay, so we have a consistent sleep schedule, a relaxing bedroom environment, and good sleep hygiene rituals. Is there anything else? Don't forget about relaxation techniques. Things like meditation or just taking some deep breaths can really calm your mind before bed.
I've tried meditation, and it does help me relax. Maybe I should make it part of my routine. Any other relaxation techniques I should try?
You could try progressive muscle relaxation.
Yeah.
It's where you tense and relax different muscles in your body. It helps to let go of any physical tension and makes you feel more relaxed.
Okay, I'm going to look that up. So we've covered a lot today, from the science of sleep to how to create the perfect sleep environment. What's the big takeaway here?
Sleep is not just about feeling rested. It's about being healthy. It's about your brain functioning at its best, and it's about feeling good overall. And with a little bit of effort and some consistency, you can make a huge difference in how well you sleep.
So true. So listeners, if you want to experience the amazing benefits of good sleep, take these tips and actually try them out. Start small, be patient with yourself, and listen to what your body needs.
And remember, a good night's sleep is like an investment in your health and happiness.
And that's a wrap for today's deep dive into sleep. We hope you learned something new and that you feel empowered to make some positive changes. Sweet dreams, everyone.